All right, we are live.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. We are at the Norwalk Fire Department entry-level firefighter exam hiring process town hall. We put this little slideshow together to hopefully answer any questions you guys might have. Thank you for all the participants. Quite a few of you are out there right now. And we'll try to get through as many questions as we could by the end of the night. So again, I welcome everyone. My name is Gino Gatto. I'm the fire chief for the city of Norwalk. And I'm just going to introduce our panel. Very quickly, we have the mayor for the city of Norwalk and also the chairman of the fire commission, Mayor Harry Rilling. On the fire department side, we have Assistant Chief Al Bassett, Assistant Chief Ed McCabe, Deputy Director of Emergency Management, Michelle DeLuca. We have some firefighters present. We have firefighter Catherine McCary and firefighter Jordan Bell and firefighter George Baez. We'll answer questions that you have related to day in the life of a firefighter. So thank you for everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Mayor, for coming and spending a few words, giving a few words. We appreciate your support. Mayor Rilling has been a huge supporter of the fire department, and we really appreciate it. We have a very good working relationship, and we hope to continue that. Mayor, would you like to just kick us off?
Thank you, Chief. And I just want to thank the panel here for making themselves available for this town hall meeting. Also to thank all the young men and women that are out there having an interest in joining the Norwalk Fire Department. I've been working one way or another with the Norwalk Fire Department for many years. And I can tell you in my estimation and in the opinion of many, many others, not only in Norwalk, but around the state of Connecticut, this is without a doubt one of the finest fire departments anywhere. Dedicated professionals, highly skilled and highly trained. So we're looking for good recruits, we're looking for good candidates, and we're looking for the best of the best. And when you're ready to take on that challenge and serve with these fine men and women, we'll be glad to have you. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for your interest. And Chief, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, for taking your time to address us. Thank you very much. So looking into quickly the agenda for tonight is a little talk about the city of Norwalk and the Norwalk Fire Department. We'll get into the day in the life of a firefighter, the actual testing process, both written and the oral interviews, the candidate physical ability test, the Connecticut Fire Academy probation period, and also we're going to wrap up with all your questions and answers if we could. So if you have questions, on the bottom of your screen, you should see a Q&A box. Please fill in your question at the bottom of the screen, and we will try to answer as many of your questions as possible. As long as we have the time remaining. So about the city of Norwalk and the Norwalk Fire Department, I'm going to read you, in case you don't know anything about Norwalk Fire Department, or maybe you do. We are located along Long Island Sound. We have a population of nearly 90,000 people, making us the sixth largest city in the state of Connecticut. We're located in the heart of Fairfield County, approximately 30 miles northeast of New York City. We're home to 12 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, 3 high schools, 1 community college, 1 hospital, and more than 100 places of worship, and well over 1,000 businesses. Norwalk Harbor is one of our most important centers of recreational boating, commercial shell fishing, and other water-dependent activities in western Long Island Sound. We're also home to the Norwalk River, 5 Mile River, and we roughly have 35 miles of shoreline. So the Norwalk Fire Department, who are we exactly? We are a career fire department. We consist of 132 line firefighters and officers deployed into 4 shifts, manning 5 stations. So we have 33 on duty every day. And they work 24-hour shifts, 3 days off, 24 on. The frontline apparatus consists of 5 engines, 2 trucks, a heavy rescue, 1 command car. And because we're on the Long Island Sound, we provide marine, fire, and rescue capabilities through the use of 2 fire boats. We have a dedicated Marine Division station. We also have support staff, which consists of the Fire Marshal's Office, Training Division, apparatus maintenance, myself and 2 assistant fire chiefs. We are called upon both by our residents as well as our neighbors through mutual aid for any fire emergency medical services, hazmat, rapid intervention teams, confined space, etc. The fire department protects residents and numerous visitors along the Interstate 95 and the Mare Parkway corridors, and we respond to nearly 7,000 incidents, including structure, vehicle fires, EMS rescue, hazmat, hazard materials calls in a year. So that's pretty much a quick rundown of the city and our department. You can always Google it and find more information. Al, we'll get into the day in life of a firefighter. And we're going to turn this over now to the 3 firefighters that are panelists to give us some breakdown as to what their life is like.
Yeah, so like the slide says, we work 24-hour shifts, and then we have 72 hours off. So we'll come in for 24 hours, and then we'll have 3 days off, and then we'll come in on that 4th day. Our shifts start at 7 a.m., and our reliefs start between 7 and 8. So we're relieved for our shifts between 7 and 8 a.m. Throughout the day, we conduct station chores. We study, we train, we cook in-house. We cook most of our meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that we do throughout the day, just in-house that doesn't involve calls throughout the day.
Kat or George, anybody want to add anything?
Yeah, I guess I would just add to what Jordan was saying. So if you break it down, the 24 hours, you do all these things, the cooking, the cleaning, studying, training. And as he was saying, you're just kind of peppering calls in between that. So you don't really know what's going to come up during the day, but that's part of the excitement and the fun about it is you're doing your set things, generally your set things, the cooking and cleaning, chores, training, and then whatever else pops up. So that's kind of the exciting part about the everyday.
George, anything to add?
Not at this time, Chief. I was having a little bit of technical difficulty, so I caught some of the stuff that Kat was saying. I didn't hear what Jordan said, so I don't know what they may have said or if they missed anything. So
Can you talk about how they can get involved? The committees and the other union functions?
Yeah, I could touch on that a little bit. So basically, when you come on the department, obviously you're working for the city of Norwalk, but you also become a member of the local 830 union. And with that, we have a bunch of collateral duties, such as the honor guard is something that I run. And there's a golf committee. There's a bunch of fundraisers. We also do some fundraising for the high schools as well. So there's a lot of things that you can get involved with, especially being in Norwalk. You want to reach as many people as you can. Obviously, when we go to calls, we're there to help, but we also want to help when they don't need our help in an emergency. So we do various things like that in the community. So you can always get involved somehow.
And I'll just also add that we do the cadet program, the public safety cadets, which is another program firefighters are encouraged to get involved in, where we have younger students, high school, early college, come and learn about the fire service and do a lot of the hands-on training, the same as we would do. So that's also really, I'm involved in that. And it's just really fun to kind of get out in the community in that way and be teaching, stuff like that.
Okay. If you guys are set, we'll move on.
Chief, I dropped this slide in there in case there's any specific questions from the group. I don't know if anyone's monitoring that chat as far as the fire service as a career or as a profession.
Yep.
So I don't know if there's anything.
Albie, we do have a few questions on for this section. First, does the fire department have a dive team?
Currently, our the dive team works with the Marine Division, but right now our dive team is not operational, and the police dive team is the primary dive team in the community. But that's something that is on the horizon for the future to get it back up and running.
Great.
How long?
Yep, and maybe we can revisit the, so for the group, the questions that are more technical on the test itself and the list, we'll hold off until the end. And then we'll kind of address some of the questions that you have for the firefighters in this section. So for the firefighters, can you talk about the drills that you do?
I guess I could start off. So basically, we have our requirements, like EMT and hazmat. Those are things that we all have to do as firefighters. But then, depending on what position, riding positions you're in, so you have the engine, the truck, the rescue. So they'll do individual company training as well. And it's usually up to the officers what you're going to do that day, unless the training chief has our quarterly requirements or our yearly requirements. And I don't know if Jordan or Kat want to jump in here, or Chief Bassett.
Right, yeah, it's pretty much dependent usually about where you're positioned. The engine usually trains together, the truck usually trains together, the rescue.
Yeah, so this could be anything from search drills, ladder drills. You could do driver training if you're that far along. Anything like that. We do our RIT, our RIT drills. It's just kind of all encompassing, trying to keep us fresh with our skills, just always learning. You can get into the hazmat, the EMT, just kind of all encompassing, keeping everything nice and fresh in the forefront.
Wonderful, thank you. To the questions as to how many stations are in town, 5. That's an easy one. Let me just see.
Tattoos are allowed.
Yeah, no restrictions on any tattoos at this point.
Yes, there are.
What's that?
It can't be
Yeah, it can be.
in your face or
I'm
anything
sorry.
like that.
Yes. No face. You do not. There's currently no requirement for our radius. dive teams. What did I miss, Michelle? I think I got them.
Let's see. A lot of these we'll come back to.
We'll come back.
George,
Yeah, a lot of them will be testing.
Can you explain the honor guard, please?
The honor guard, it's basically it's a pride thing for the department, but the honor guard it's usually for parades where we would carry the flags and our axes, but then we also do funeral details for retirees that have passed away and things of that nature. So those are the two biggest things that we do in the honor guard. And as we grow, then we can service other towns as well that maybe do not have an honor guard, and we can help out that way.
Wonderful, thank you. And actually a great question on, since it is around dinner time, for cooking, how does it work? Does everyone put money together and breakfast, lunch, and dinner? If somebody can explain that.
Yeah, so everybody puts money on the table. So someone usually either shops on shift, a company shops on shift, or someone shops before shift. You bring in, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and however much it is, we divvy it up between how many total people are in the station that are eating, and then we just split it. We cook our meals. And that's just how it usually works.
Great. And for those of us that are on the floor above the firefighters, we can usually tell what they're cooking because everything does smell amazing. So that is always hard. Let's see.
There's I see one on promotions. That's all outlined in our contract. Firefighters can test for lieutenant after 5 years, and then every other position after that is 3 years. We also have staff positions in the fire marshal's office that can be tested on as an inspector after 5 years of service also. And what's the difference between positions? We always say firefighters, and that encompasses the company officers. Every crew has basically a supervisor, and that could be a lieutenant or captain. So yes, they do respond to calls. It's just the lieutenant, captain, or the captain, or the supervisor for the piece of apparatus that the firefighters are riding on. But we would class them all as, there's 4 firefighters, on the apparatus, which one of them is a supervisor.
Great, thank you. And I do see a lot on the tests and training. And again, we will get to all those questions later on in the program.
Yeah.
Are goatees allowed, or is clean shaven required? Great question.
Clean shaven will be required because of the respiratory protection that you would have to wear.
Wonderful.
Minimum age is 18. I just picked up on that one. How active are we as far as EMS? We run about 60% of our calls are emergency medical first responder. We only have EMTs and EMRs is the requirement for the firefighters. We do not run paramedic. The Norwalk Hospital runs medic.
Yeah, I think it's important to add too, for those who don't know, we do not run ambulances out of the fire department. Norwalk Hospital runs the ambulances. We're strictly first responder with our engine and ladder companies.
And actually, here's a great question for the firefighters. What inspired you to become a firefighter, and what can be done to prepare for a career in firefighting?
I guess I'll start off. What inspired you to become a firefighter? Well, you have to have that natural ability to want to help people. If you have a desire to help people and you're physically capable, because this is a physically demanding job, but you have to have that in you. And the question kind of moved on me.
I'm sorry.
I was just looking at it. But yeah, to me, that is the most important trait. If you want to become a firefighter, you have to have that desire to help people, want to be part of something. You have to be team oriented. This job is a lot of sacrifice. You have to have teamwork. You have to check your ego at the door. And you have to work well with others, because this is a second family. You live with these guys for 24 hours, a day. So yeah, those are important traits.
Yeah, I agree with George. Working in a team is very important here. Just being willing to help people, that just has to be in you. You have to be you just want to help people. And we're always working in a team. So if you're not used to working in a team, this might be difficult for you, because we live with each other for 24 hours. So you're always going to be amongst people for long periods of time, sometimes 48 hours. So if you're not used to that, that might be a kind of a learning curve for you. So I would say to be successful here, you just kind of have to come in here, be humble, listen to others that have been here longer than you, just be willing to learn and willing to help.
Absolutely. I agree with both George and Jordan. And then just having that drive to learn, to better yourself every day, take all that constructive criticism and just move forward and better yourself, be a better firefighter. And then just having that will to help people, just be there to help the citizens and work as a team. Have fun. We're just a big family. So
There is probably want to answer this one live. Yes, you may be asked to work over 24 hours. There is overtime available voluntarily, but there are times where you would be required to work more than 24 hours. Doesn't happen that often, but it is one of the responsibilities as firefighters and officers to maintain the minimum staffing. So that does happen once in a while, but most of the time it's voluntary overtime. Question.
Can we move?
A lot of
Can we move
EMS,
on?
I've been answering some of the questions. There is a pension on benefits, and I think I think a lot of that's outlined in the recruitment packet, but you would receive, you would be given a pension. You would contribute to that. You get health insurance, paid time off. There's some sick time. So yeah, you definitely would have a pension for 30 years of service. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The new firefighters, what's the minimum on the years?
60.
60%.
60%.
60%.
60% at age 55.
Yeah, which is you have to do a minimum of 25 years for that pension.
Scrolling through the questions here, and I think a lot of them, if we can just move on to the testing process, I can give a quick description of what that would entail, and it's going to knock out a bunch of the questions that are in the queue here. So I'll just go over quickly what it would entail if you're interested in applying. The first step would be filling out an application if you haven't done that already, and all the applications are being taken online. So you can go to the website is firefighterapp.com. That's app with 2 P's.com. You can fill out all of your information online. The application process is going to be open until May 10th. So make sure you get it in before May 10th. After that will be the written test, which is going to be the weekend of May 22nd. You'll need to have both that Saturday and Sunday available. Depending on the numbers that we get, whether there's 1 day of written, 2 days of written is yet to be decided. We'll have to determine that based on the numbers and how many we can sit at a time. However, once you put your application in, you will be updated through the Firefighter app website by email anytime those changes take place. So the written test is the first step. We get a lot of questions as to what you can do to study for the written test. There is no specific document that this testing company gives out, but any book that you can find on Amazon, or you can even Google firefighter test preparation. Any of the publications that are out there for basic firefighter or civil service exam will help you with the type of questions that you'll find on the firefighter written test if you've never taken one before. So as far as preparing for that, beyond just being ready for a civil service or even an SAT type test, getting a good night's sleep beforehand, making sure you're ready on the day of the test, that's the type of advice that we give out as far as taking a written. After the written test, there is an oral exam, which will involve you answering several questions that will be asked by the testing company. And once you take the written and the oral, then the testing company will give you a final score, and you'll be ranked on a list based on that final score between the written and the oral. Depending on how many people the department is going to take up front, certain candidates will be asked for an additional interview with the fire commission. And then once we get to the point of making conditional offers, anyone that's given a conditional offer will have to make sure that they have a CPAT, which is current within the last 18 months. So that's a quick overview of the multiple steps that you'll have to go through. So if any of you haven't taken a firefighter test before, know that this isn't going to happen by the end of May. There are several steps that have to be taken, and usually it takes several months to get through them. But you'll be guided through that as we go along. The CPAT, for those who haven't taken, is a physical agility exam. And I'm going to turn it over to Chief Bassett as far as describing the CPAT, when it's going to be given, and what you would need to do to be prepared for that.
Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, so this is for new candidates coming in. This tends to be a challenge, not ever doing this type of physical workout. What the CPAT is designed to do is replicate the skills of a firefighter, and you can see the 7 stations there in the bullet points that you would have to do it, and you're going to do it in this order, and it's continuous. So you would do a stair climb with a weight vest on, and that's going to be for 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and then you go to these other stations one after another nonstop. So a hose drag, equipment carry, ladder raise, forcible entry simulation. You will do a search. You will also do a mannequin drag, and then what's called a ceiling breach and pull. This, you really need to start planning for it now. So you wear a 50-pound weight vest. So you really want to start working on your cardio, and find a Stairmaster, get a weight vest, and start to build up that endurance while you're doing it. The CPAT is, where do you do this? Well, the state of Connecticut runs one. They run in Meriden, and they do it twice a year. They do it in the spring and they do it in the fall. Right now, the spring session is already booked and is running right now. So you want to get on the state's website, which is on this slideshow. It's also in the recruitment packet. And you want to watch when that gets announced for the fall. So you have to sign up for it. I believe it's $160, $165 that the charge is. You actually get 3 attempts for that $160. So you'll have 3 chances to take it. You also, if you've taken the CPAT before and you notice that it says 18 months there. If you've taken one that's more than 18 months ago, you need to renew that. So you can take the one in Connecticut, or you can fly to any state that offers the CPAT, as long as it's a valid CPAT center, which is through the IAFF and the IChiefs, IAFC. They have their listed legal CPAT centers that you can take the test at, and that certificate will be good also. But this is something that if you haven't really experienced it before, you really need to specifically work out for that. And there's enough information on the state's website on some of the exercises that you can do to be prepared for that. You do not need this prior to the test. You'll need to prove that you've passed CPAT at the point of a conditional offer. So don't worry about getting it over the summer or in the next 2 weeks, month or whatever. You're going to have plenty of time to do that. But I definitely recommend, even whether it's Norwalk Fire Department or any fire department in the future that you're testing for, to start exploring CPAT and make sure you get on a system to renew your CPAT every year or so you have that current card. I think that was, if there's any specific questions on CPAT, I'll pop them up, but I'll move on to the next slide.
I see a question here in reference to the test. If someone has already taken the last test through the consortium, is that transferable? The answer is no. This is a separate test. You would need to go through this process for the jobs that we're going to be offering. So if you've taken the consortium, we are not going to be hiring off of that list.
Couple other questions that have popped up here. I'll read them. For people who have not gone to the academy and that we would hire that need to go to the academy, we're probably looking at the spring February class to start the academy. By the time the testing process is done, your background and medical checks, we're looking at a spring academy for any new hire. So you're looking at about 9 months out.
There's another good question here asking if the written and the oral are going to be online or in person. Both are going to be in person. The written will be taken at a location in Norwalk that you'll be told to report to, and you'll be taking it in person. The oral is also going to be at a location that you'll need to report to, and that is going to be taken on a computer, but we will not be able to do it from home. You'll need to report to either one of the high schools or whatever location we come up with. So for both the written and the oral, we will be letting you know the location that you'll need to report to and what the date will be.
Anyone that applies will come to the test. So there's no cutoff. So however many apply will go. So there's a question for somebody that paid. I saw a bunch of questions for if you're already trained. That's going to be individual dependent. So that won't, at the time that the commission gives you a conditional offer of employment, we will look at those certifications to determine what the next step is, whether someone needs to go to the academy or not go to the academy. So that'll be taken on a case-by-case basis.
There is no certification required to take the test. I see a couple of questions asking if you have to be EMT or if you have to be medic or if you need to be Fire One. The answer is no, that you do not need any previous firefighting or EMS experience to take the test. And the written test itself will not depend on your knowledge of firefighting in particular. It will be more of a comprehension type test. So not having any experience in the fire service to date should not discourage you from taking it. Also, I see a couple questions regarding whether the city will be giving extra points to people with certain experience, such as military or firefighting experience or residency. The answer to that is no. It's a level playing field, so there will be no extra points added to your score for veteran or residency or firefighting experience.
There's a question on conditional Offers at the earliest, and I'll defer to the chief on this, I would say the fall for conditional offers. So you definitely, yeah, it would behoove you to take the fall CPAT and not wait, depending on where you are on the list.
All right. Could be a little sooner, but figure the fall. You want to just talk about the academy now?
Sure, we could take a break from questions. I'm answering them online, so I think everybody sees it when I answer it. But you want me to talk about the academy, Chief? I forgot who was on the list.
Yeah.
Or the kid, or the new guys, Jordan and Kat could talk about the academy. So I'll let them jump in. I'll just give it a quick overview. So if you have to go, those of us that have to go to the academy when we come on the job, that's going to be 14 weeks in Windsor Locks. It's Monday through Friday. They let you come home on Friday afternoons, and you have to report back Sunday night or Monday. So it is a little bit of time away from the family. There is an academy step. So if anyone's looking at our contract or anything like that, you're in step 0 when you're at the academy. They do daily physical fitness, obviously classroom every day, some type of practical every day, and then studying at night. So that's a benefit of being up there. Most of the grades, and Firefighter Bell and Macari can mention, I mean, they were probably in the 90s for grades, because you're studying with other people, and most people excel at the recruit test because of that, the amount of people that are up there helping each other. So, weekly quizzes, you have to maintain an 80 average and so on. So that is kind of the academy in a nutshell there. I don't think I have another slide on that. So then I'll go into the probation period. But anything you guys want to add to the academy while you were there, and some of the friends you might have made and other networking?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so when you get up there, obviously you'll be your Norwalk group, but you'll kind of be split up. You won't be roommates with any of the other recruits from Norwalk, and you'll be in different squads. So when you get up to the academy, you'll be placed in different squads that you will work with throughout your time there. And so that's a great way to network, learn from other people, their different experiences coming from different departments. And like the chief was saying, you're there Monday through Friday, go home on Friday afternoon. During that time, you'll have your physical training. You'll be out on the fire ground most of the day. You'll also have classroom work and some night classes while you're up there. So just for going up there, and just make sure you're studying and working hard, because it's 14 weeks. 14 weeks to get through it. Do your best and stay on top of things. Jordan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, it's so 14 weeks. I see a lot of people are asking about if they have certain certifications, are they able to skip it? I think it's not just about the certifications that you get up at the academy. I mean, it's a lot of things. I mean, you're PTing up at the academy, they're teaching you certain things, how to walk in formation. They're teaching you just kind of the small things. They're kind of getting you in the mindset to get on the line at the fire department, which is important. It's hard to kind of just jump into this career. You kind of have to ease into it. So the fire academy is an important step to go through. But it's a long process. It feels a little bit longer than 14 weeks. I feel like we all felt like that. But like Kat said, you just have to study. You have to put your head down. You have to get through it. Take what you can from it. And then when you get on the line, I think you'll definitely be a lot more prepared than you would have been if you don't go through the academy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like Jordan was saying, if it's anything more than 14 weeks, it'd be tough. But I mean, it can be mentally and physically challenging, but when you come out of it, you're just better for it. And it's really rewarding coming out on the other side of that and knowing you did your best in the academy, going back and making your department proud.
So once you're done with that academy, and you come on, you get assigned to a shift. You're on a 12-month probation period from the day that you come out of the academy. Monthly evaluations, with your company officer. So they'll maintain it. They'll continue to provide training, continue to build your skills as you go through, the onboarding in the Norwalk Fire Department. There are a few differences. So you'll learn something at the academy, and then you'll get taught a little bit different when you come to Norwalk. It's just based on some of the things that we have in our city and some of our apparatus and equipment versus what the academy uses. The skills, generically are the same. It's just the specifics with the equipment. It sounds bad, but you're constantly being evaluated. What we say in the fire service is the day you stop learning is the day you should be retiring. So, every day, even at 27 years, myself and and Assistant Chief McCabe, and the chief has over 37 years, we learn something new every day. So we're constantly learning at this job. This career is 90% training and learning, and 10% doing the skills that we train with. That's good and bad, but that's what we're doing. So we do a lot of preparation for the calls that we might have to go on. So you'll have plenty of opportunity during that 12-month period to prove yourself. I answered a bunch of questions on EMS training. We will, if you have it, great. If that saves you some time once you come on the line. But once you come on the line, if you do not have it, we'll set you up for a class, either off-site or depending on the number of firefighters that need it at the time, we may do a class in-house. So that'll be dependent, but we will provide that training if you do not have that EMS background, either an EMR, EMT, or even medic. We have medics on the job, so you're basically an EMT. So we will provide that as we, once you come on the job. Anything else for the probie period? My firefighters there, anything you want to add?
Actually, a quick question for the firefighters. Is there a specific time at the academy that you have to be back on Sunday night?
Yes. You remember what specific time it was, Kat?
I want to say it was before like 7 o'clock.
Yeah, and I'll jump
there's
in
a
on that.
specific time.
Yeah, let me jump in on that, because the academy, depending on what's going on up there, that could vary. So don't hold the firefighters to 7 o'clock. That'll vary based on what they have going on. Right now with COVID protocol, they have to be back at a certain time and test it and everything else going on. So we don't know where we're going to be. But you also could, in the old days when firefighter McCary and Bell went to the academy, they also can report Monday morning if they want to. So that's an option if you live closer to the academy. So if you're mid-state, it only takes you 20 minutes to get there. You may choose to stay in your own bed on Sunday night and drive up first thing in the morning. As long as you're, punctual, on time, you're dependable. You do not want to be late. So, so that is an option. But that's kind of an open question based on what the academy's protocol is right now with the COVID, still a possibility and issues up there.
I see a question, Chief Bassett, about CPAT. I don't know if you answered this in your description, but people are asking if they have to have it to take the test. The answer to that is no. However, by the time you receive a conditional offer, if you get through that part of the process, your CPAT will have to be no more than 18 months old. So just keep that in mind. If your conditional offer, say, comes in the fall, you'll have to have a CPAT that's no older than 18 months.
Yes, and another question. So someone asked about moving station to station during your probationary period. That'll vary. Usually you get assigned to headquarters. That could change based on how many firefighters come on with you. But you could work overtime at other stations or get moved for other reasons. Mostly it's for overtime. So you can be hired overtime for one of the other stations. We wouldn't put anybody in a position that they can't do the job that's required. So all 5 stations have an engine company, which you would be the first piece of apparatus you get trained on. And that's, you'll be riding an engine company at our South Norwalk station, our East Norwalk station, if you did get assigned over there. So just for the shift, usually it's just an overtime that you'd move.
And there had been, I think, 1 or 2 questions on preparing for the CPAT. I think one I answered already. We do have some information online, but also, again, if you go to that link that was from the Fire Academy, there are some good guides. You can also Google it. A number of fire departments have developed a lot of great preparation guides, as well as YouTube videos. So the information is out there. If you just take the time and again, and that includes workouts to get you ready for it. And again, how to really prepare for those tests. So again, the information is available with a very quick search. And once we get through the written tests and the oral tests or oral interview, we can also post more information on the city's website and probably through the Firefighter app once we pass this first phase of the test.
Chief, I see a lot of questions regarding how many we plan on hiring, how long the list will last once it's established. Do you want to address that, Chief?
Yeah, I was gonna do that at the end, but
Okay.
So currently we're looking at anywhere upwards 20 plus people within the next 2 to 3 years if the fire commission decides to extend the list. So we're looking at probably that number, but not sure until we get there.
I did see another one I wanted to answer. Usually we're gonna probably get around 1,000 to take the exam. So we're pretty high up there. That's not uncommon for our city to have 1,000 people taking the exam. The testing company will determine how many people actually are going to move on to the oral. And Chief McCabe, jump in if I'm saying anything that you have different information. The commission will make the determination on how many they want to interview for the commission and the chief's interview. So all that is kind of pending, depending on numbers of people enrolling, what they make the passing rate is, how many they want to interview, and then how many that the commission wants to do at the same time.
Yeah, that's correct. And I see a couple questions about the May 22nd date, which is the date that the applicants received for the written test when they applied. That date does still stand. We are asking, and the website stresses that you'll need to keep the 22nd and the 23rd available. And again, depending on the number of applicants, how many people we can seat at one time based on our physical locations and COVID restrictions and what they will be at that point in time. We don't know if it's going to be 2 days of written, in which case, obviously, you only need to be there for 1 day of written, or if the written and the oral will be back to back. So stay tuned on that. But once you put your application in, you will receive updates on dates and times from Firefighter app. So as we make these determinations, they will be emailed to you so that you're up to date, and they'll also be posted on the website. So right now, my advice would be definitely keep that entire weekend, May 22nd and 23rd, available. And as to how many testing days we have, it's yet to be determined.
I just want to mention that people that are asking about benefits, if you go to the city's website, norwalkct.org, click on the fire department, you can look up our union contract, all the benefits, everything is listed there on the site.
There's a good one back to the career. What are some of the biggest issues facing the fire service today? So if anyone wants to jump in on that one, I'll start off with saying one of our biggest issues is they ask the fire service to do a lot of things. So we get faced with more and more tasks that we have to perform because we're all hazards approach. So whether it's the weather that came through earlier, whether it's confined space, extrication. So, and a lot of that's always changing. So those tasks were always being are placed on the fire service because we have the equipment, we have the well-trained staff to handle a lot of that thing. So I'll start it off that way. Anyone else on that one?
The question was what?
Just what do you think some of the challenges are that's facing us or facing a firefighter, facing the fire service?
I guess, Chief, to just jump off what you were saying is just being adaptable and flexible. I mean, we saw with the last year with the coronavirus and everything coming through, just having that flexibility to shift gears and do operations in a different manner than we're used to. So just kind of always being able to adapt and overcome to whatever is kind of put in front of us.
Good. Yep.
So we have 97 questions. How do we know which ones got answered?
I'm looking. They're
We're
coming
working
in.
through
They're
those.
coming in.
I mean, I wish you went down in order.
It's tough. They keep coming, so I'm trying to do that.
After you answer the questions, you should remove them.
Yep.
Do I remove them or are they removing on their own? I think they're removing.
Yeah, and anything we've answered live, I've been trying to also mark that,
Okay.
so I'm going to answered.
There's a couple specific questions as far as testing, religious beliefs, and some challenges with the testing dates. Just email us directly, and we'll look at that. So not something we wanted to get into tonight on the on these individual questions, specific questions to individuals.
I do see a couple on age limits and how old you need to be to take the exam. You need to be 18 years old by the date of the written exam, so 18 to take it. There is no age limit as far as how old you are, but we do have a mandatory retirement at age 65. So basically, if you're 18, you can sit and take the exam.
And again, I think just to emphasize on the logistics, the recruitment period ends on May 10th. So that leaves from May 10th until the 22nd. We'll make sure all the logistics are finalized with the location. You'll get all the additional information about the actual written test, where to go, what time, the seatings. Again, or an email address if you have specific questions. So there is a bit of time between when the recruitment closes and the actual written test. So you will definitely be getting more information from Firefighter app with all those logistics.
I like to jump on this one. What's the relationships like between firefighters in the station? Well, we've all had brothers and sisters. So most of the time it's good. Sometimes, we have discussions
Oh.
with people, but otherwise it's, the relationships are good. We're a family. And we always come out, it always comes out positive on there. But that's a good question to tie into what can you expect on oral interviews. One of the common questions that you hear on oral interviews is, what do you think of diversity? What challenges do you have, or what challenges does diversity bring to you as a firefighter? So those are things you want to think about, like what's it going to be like working with a, with a female? What's it like working with somebody that's a different religion? What's it going to be like working with somebody that's 35 years older than me? So those are all questions that are very common on oral interviews that you want to start thinking about and preparing for. So, I didn't always get along with my dad, and I had to work with guys that were my dad's age, and I had to learn to live with that, and know how to, and I had to understand them, and I had to, just be a little different on my approach to those, the older people that I worked with. And now I have to do the same with the younger people. Jordan's the same age as my son. And, sometimes it's, it's stressful with my own son, and I think about that when maybe I'm talking to somebody like Jordan's age or something like that. So that's all diversity. And, we get over it. And at the end of the day, when the bell hits, we go out and do the best job that we can. And it's always a success for us as the fire department.
And this is actually a good question for the chiefs as well. Are there any large scale changes that you see coming down the line for the fire service as a whole and or for the city of Norwalk?
Right now we're working on a citywide communication upgrade, which includes portable radios, mobile radios, and a lot of training involved with that.
I don't, to jump in, it's nothing, nothing good or nothing bad, I should say. Start with that. It's like like Mayor Rilling said, and the chief said earlier, our city's well funded. There's a lot of support for emergency services, both prep for response and for preparation. So we've been very good over the years. Nothing on the horizon for a huge, large scale changes, whether good or bad. There could be restructuring of, where apparatuses, we're doing some major building repairs now to try to make, a little more comfort while you're living in the firehouse for 24 hours. We're upgrading. Most of the buildings are probably older than most of us on this call tonight. So we are trying to make those changes. That's all for the good, but nothing down the road that's a super, challenge. I mean, but then again, last year, if we were doing the same thing, I would have never thought, we were going to get hit with the COVID and coronavirus challenge. So we went through it. We managed it. We did well on the end of it, and we're still doing well. So we're prepared for it. And that's why I don't want to downplay the question, but we're definitely, in our training and the way we react to emergencies and change, the fire service does really well on that. And, our department's no different.
Great, thank you. Actually, another great question for the firefighters on the panel. Can you speak more about community involvement and what opportunities there are to interact with the people of Norwalk? I know we kind of touched on that in a previous slide, but is there anything you can add to that?
I guess I'll start off just for me personally. I remember when I interviewed for this job and that question came up to me on the panel. It was basically, I wanted to be a fireman because I had just recently moved to Norwalk and I wanted to serve my community. So, for instance, I was out today and I bumped into 3 people that I helped on calls because I was at the grocery store. I stopped for gas, so just me living in town, I am the community as well. So when I'm not working, my guys that are on duty, they're there for me. So, I completely immersed myself into Norwalk as, yes, I'm a Norwalk fireman, but I'm also part of the community. My kids play, sports in town. So, and I recently went to a house fire for one of my son's teammates, the father. We had a fire at his house. And when I get there, I say, hey, what's going on? They see me, it puts people at ease when they recognize you. So, I mean, at least for me, just being part of Norwalk, living in Norwalk, being a Norwalk fireman, people see me around town and, they kind of feel like, I'm always there for them.
Great, thank you.
George, talk about the basketball team that you guys started, all the public education events that we do, honor guard.
Hockey.
I'm sorry, did somebody else jump in there? What was that? Well, I think I touched a little bit on the honor guard. We did we didn't last year. It was canceled because of COVID, but for 20 years we did a basketball game with one of the elementary schools, and it was kind of a thing that started with I believe it was a retiree, but we were playing at the Jefferson School. It was kind of a reward for the kids that did really, really well, and we went there, and the firefighters would go and play against their 4th or 5th grade team, I recall. But even extending to a little bit further, I am part of the Battle of the Badges circuit. That is a national circuit. I recently came back from Atlanta and playing with a bunch of firefighters and police. So that's another networking opportunity for us. Norwalk Fire gets a little bit of praise, when I go to these other tournaments, and we raise money for burn foundations and, police that have died in the line of duty, just money for their families. I mean, so, this is a huge, huge family, and it's, extends a little bit beyond the fire department with police and corrections and things like that. The other thing with the cadets that we do, that's in our Chief Basket, he's the lead on that, but we do events in town. We had the cadets parking cars at one of the events down at the beach. And I believe at Betts Park when we did the Oyster Festival. So there's a lot of things, we try to reach the community as much as possible, whether on and off duty. I don't know if I answered everything, but.
Great, thank you. And hopefully now that COVID is, or we are easing some of the restrictions from COVID, I think over the summer, and then as we start the new school year, again, we do look forward to trying to do the open house and hopefully maybe resume station tours and some of the other activities that normally go on throughout the year. There are a few questions about a calculator being allowed for the written exam. Again, we don't really know the types of questions. Additional information will come out. We should expect some information from the testing company about the written tests. And again, what we're waiting for is for the recruitment period to end. And then this way, all the information will be emailed out at the same time. If that helps.
I'm I'm still going through the questions, Chief, so. And so,
Yeah, I just don't know which ones are answered, so.
yeah, I'm just typing
Yeah.
answers. If there's something we didn't talk about, I'll jump in. There's a couple questions on, does having EMT certification or any other certifications help in the process to become a firefighter? I'll say yes, those are always helpful. When it gets down to your commission and or your chief's interview, whether if it's with Norwalk or any other town that you might be testing for. I know a couple of people asked about the consortium. So yes, having those certifications is definitely a help. It's not going to, hurt you for our process, but if that's something that you do not have and you're looking for the future for the fire service, you definitely want to go out and show the initiative to go get EMT prior to taking another fire department test, because a lot of other departments open up, will only open applications to certified EMTs. So we're hoping you get hired here, but if other departments have tests, that does help you. And I'll go, and Jordan will probably support me on this one, but though, if you're interested in medical, the paramedic program in Connecticut is awesome. And that will definitely get you hired on a lot of fire departments in Connecticut also. So paramedic is a nice option. But again, we want you to come here, so you don't need that for here. But if you're looking for a college degree and you're looking to grab that education, definitely you'll look into that. Down below 100 questions. I'm answering them.
Yeah. Is a CDL needed to drive the engine or ladder or any of the apparatus?
No.
No.
You're trained as a CDL, but we do it in-house, and you're certified in-house, but you wouldn't obtain a CDL.
And just to clarify, because this is a question that keeps popping up, the CPAT is not Connecticut specific, correct? So somebody can take a CPAT, it's got to be that, you can do the acronym. They can take it anywhere, so it does not have to be done in Connecticut.
Just make sure it's it's on the CPAT list. There's if you go to CPAT, the national CPAT website, it'll list all your certified centers that you can go to. So make sure it's the right one before you fly anywhere. And one thing that didn't pop up in the day in the life of a firefighter is physical fitness. So there's a question: how do you maintain physical fitness? Every firehouse has a pretty good workout room. We do try to keep that up to some good standards. So firefighters work out at their downtime. They can squeeze in some workouts, whether it's cardio or strength. The fire department has, over the last 3 years, contracted out with a fitness trainer and doing a lot of stretching and strength exercises because there is a lot of physical requirements for the job. We also, to tie in with physical fitness, there's also medical exams every year. So we try to make sure our members are healthy and not, and getting anything that is potentially dangerous to them noticed in the annual physical exam. So that ties into physical fitness also. George, I don't know if you want to add anything on the physical fitness part.
No, since I've been here and, with the new station being built, I think that was the springboard for getting all new gym equipment. And like you said, this is physically a challenging job. And, the better shape you're in, the more help you're going to be out there. I mean, you may be able to save somebody that other people can't save because you're physically fit, And, all 5 stations, we are maintaining gym equipment in all 5 stations, and we're staying on top of it. So that's something that over the last 10 years has been really well done by the department. So thank you for that.
2 questions that didn't, so someone asked more specifically about overtime. It's a sign up thing, so you can work as little or as much as that you want. There are requirements on how many hours that you're allowed to work in a row. So that's a policy of the department. We don't want anybody working too many hours in a row. But depending on how many vacancies and how much time off there is, you might get the opportunity to work 40 or 50 extra shifts a year for overtime. And right now our system allows you to sign up when it's convenient for you, for the most part, to do that. So to expand on it a little more, so it is pretty convenient. Most people and the firefighters on there can jump in here. As far as firefighters, most of them are working the night shift or the day shift after their 24. That way they just do their, what we call a 36, and go on and go from there. And the other question is, there's not really a maximum well, let me take that back. Per the contract now, you have to retire by 65. Technically, if you're 64 and want to take the test, feel free. You're going to have a year career if you get hired. But you can't really deny anybody based on age, based on hiring procedures, but you will have to retire at age 65. That is mandatory in the agreement that we have with the city. And that's pure health reasons that we do that. I'm still running down the questions. I don't know if anyone wants anything we didn't talk about. Anyone wants to jump in?
I've seen a couple.
How about this? What's a successful firefighter? Yeah, I don't know if we hit that one. I answered it a couple times though. What's a successful firefighter? What's the attributes?
So, yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
So I'd say someone that absolutely can work in a team. I'd say that's my number one. Coming here, it's kind of like if you've ever played sports, it's kind of like a progression: freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or freshman, JV, varsity. You just go through that progression. So you can't come here thinking that you're just immediately going to be on varsity. There's a progression. So you just have to come in here, be humble, just be willing to learn, be open to that, be open to advice, be open to that. There's been people that's been doing this a long time, that have been here for a long time, and there's a culture here. And it's a great place. It's a good job. You just have to be open. You have to be willing. And as long as you're willing, I think you'll be very successful in this job.
There
Absolutely.
are a couple of, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kat.
I was just bouncing off what Jordan was saying, and absolutely just coming in, being ready and willing to learn from everybody else on the shift, and just being enthusiastic, just coming in and, it's the best job in the world. So why not come in and have a great day,
I see a couple questions about registration, and you can register now. Go to firefighterapp.com, and you can fill out the registration online. You must register before May 10th. That's when the applications close. If you don't register before May 10th, you'll not be able to take the written exam. But registration is open and you can go there anytime. Also, if you would like to email us a question, that email address is on the Firefighter app website, and you can link to us through there once you put in your application.
And the $25 registration fee for that's on the Firefighter app covers the written and the oral interview. It's the communication. So you're not paying for each component. You're just paying for the registration fee once. And then the CPAT is separate, and that would again be down the road. There is a waiver on the Firefighter app as you go through the application process. If needed, again, look into that a little bit more, but information is on the website.
Found one that you want to answer live, Michelle, is another benefit in our agreement with the city is we do offer tuition reimbursement for associates, bachelor's, and master's degrees. So, you know, if you do get hired and you're in the process of going to college, or you are later in life and choose to go to college, there is a reimbursement program within the department.
There are a bunch of questions in relation to the written, the oral, how long they will be. A lot of that information will be released after the applications close by the testing company. So on the applications close May 10th. On May 11th, you will receive an email from the testing company, and which will answer a lot of those questions. And by that time, we will have determined how many applicants there are, how many test dates there are going to be, et cetera. So I can't give you specific answers on that right now. But once you apply, you'll receive that information from them on May 11th.
Great. And there's actually 3 questions that have popped up a few times. One, are hand or neck tattoos a problem?
By the uniform code as it stands, there can be no neck or face tattoos, I believe.
Right.
Great. And are there any issues with length of hair that's allowed?
No,
Yes.
it just needs to be kept up.
We do have a grooming policy. It should be no longer than shoulder length for males. Females should be above the collar.
I'll jump in on this. What's the test look like? A written test? There was a question whether it's like a Fire 1 or 2 test. No, do not come in. Those of us that already have Fire 1 or 2 certifications, don't come in thinking you're going to be answering those type of questions for the entry test. That usually what these tests are you know, mechanical, you know, a little bit of you know, spatial recognition. You'll have some vocabulary on there, some reading. So that's usually how the entry tests are set up. It's very generic to, you know, everyday life. You don't need to have any fire department background to come in and do that. And I highly recommend the people who have certifications do not answer it like you're a firefighter. All right, so you have to answer it as your John Q. Public when you're whether it's the written or the oral.
Are there any regulations or penalties for continuing to volunteer, I assume with the volunteer fire department, where the individual resides? So can you be a paid firefighter and a volunteer on the side?
No, there's nothing. We have no restrictions on that. I would defer you to your union information on that, on whether, you know, it depends on your department at home and how it's set up. So that's something that you would look into with the union, but the department does not have any restrictions on that.
Great. Another good question. Can you touch on mutual aid relationships with our surrounding towns and cities?
Sure. We operate depending on where you're coming from, you might be used to a municipal type situation or a county type situation. We are a municipal fire department, so we operate independently for most of our calls. However, we do have mutual aid relationships with all of the departments that surround us. So if New Canaan, Wilton, Westport have a large fire and they need help, then we have a mutual aid relationship with them, and we'll send companies to help them out. Likewise, if we have a large fire and we need station coverage or we need additional companies to come in, we will call those surrounding towns. It's not something that happens very often, but several times a year, we'll probably leave town to help them, or they'll come in to help us out at larger fires.
And just to touch on conditional offers again, as the chief mentioned, we're going to be hiring over a 2-year period. So a conditional offer come in the fall of 2021. A conditional offer can come in January of 2023. So that'll vary as you go through there. And the question is tied to CPAT. So you definitely, once you get into this CPAT process and you want to become a firefighter, you want to do that annually until you're hired. You want to keep that card current, because what could happen, we might find out that, all right, we weren't going to hire in the fall, and next thing you know, oh, well, we decided to put 4 on, and if you didn't have that current card within 18 months, unfortunately, you're not going to meet the conditional offer requirements. So once you get in, I know a lot of people, I'm sure there's a lot of people online right now that they're every year religiously, they go and take CPAT and continue to renew their card. But we're offering 18 months. A lot of departments will do 1 year or even 6 months that you had to have a current card. So, again, we want you to get hired in Norwalk, but if you're looking at other departments too, they all have their own little restrictions on that. There's no right or wrong way to ask for that.
Just to clarify, somebody asked 20 or 30 people each session. No. 20 maybe in the course of 2 years, maybe another 5 or 6 if they extend it for another year.
Another great question for our firefighter panel. What is your favorite part about working in Norwalk?
The meals.
I like it that it's a very unique city. Each district is very different. One district, our boat station, Station 3, it's near the beach, so it's very beachy, I guess. We've got a very commercial district. We've got a very residential district, very urban district. So every station you work at is very different. So the calls you're going on are different, and it's different. So you just never really know what you're going to expect every time you go to a different station or wherever you're stationed that day. So I definitely enjoy that.
Great, thank you.
Hey, I'll go out on a limb and say also that again, the city is financially good. One thing that I know a lot of people worry about is taking a job like this and being laid off. That's not going to happen in Norwalk. We're financially solvent, and you still get a very good salary, and very good benefits as a new firefighter coming in, at least for the next 3 years. When you do come in, so it's going to be a very secure career for you moving forward. So, as great as it is, very diverse city, a lot of things to do, you're not going to have to worry about, the safety and security of your pay, and moving forward. So.
Do we know how far back the background check goes?
all the way. A background check is going to find things, everything from the day that you turned 18 years old. So it will do that, but don't let that discourage anybody. That does not mean if you did something, when you were in college, that it's an automatic disqualification. We look at every candidate individually. We look at if there was a glitch in your background, we look at that on a case-by-case basis, and then a decision is made with the commission and with our human resources department of the quality of the candidate moving forward. Have they recovered from that mistake as we move forward? So, and that includes jobs too. If you had a bad time, when you were 18, 19 years old on a job, we need you to put that on the application. You have to be honest, but we're going to do that as a case-by-case basis. Hey, that was my first job after high school, and if they said, well, yeah, he or she didn't show up to work on time a couple times, we'll take that and we'll look at that and say, well, the 2 jobs you had after that is fine. So it will go back all the way. There's no hiding your history. Anything else you see, Michelle, there? I'm starting to.
I'm just trying to type and read at the same time.
Yes.
So there is a question about mustaches. Mustaches are allowed. They just can't go below your chin. No beards.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, if you really want to know about your facial hair, just go on the OSHA website, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. That's what we follow for wearing your respirator. Okay, you can't touch your respirator. So they have a lot of good pictures of mustaches that are illegal and goatees that are illegal on there. And if you look like one of those, you're going to have to shave. Yeah, I'm just scanning through. So if anyone wants to chat for a minute, I'm scanning through the questions with Michelle.
This is actually not on the list. For the panel, is there anything that surprised you about being a firefighter? That you didn't expect when you started?
For me, that would be medical calls. I didn't know that I would be doing anything like that when I took this job. So that was the big surprise for me. But it was kind of a blessing because I got some training and I was able to help out some of my own family members. So I'm glad that I was able to get that training and we help out a lot, like you said, the chief said, I think 60% of our calls. So yeah, we reach the community a lot more with medical calls now, and that just helps, just being out there more visible with the citizens and all.
Something that surprised me was our schedule. Our schedule is, I think it's amazing. You still end up working 48 hours a week, but you knock it out in 2 days. So that gives you a lot of free time throughout the week to spend time with your family or do other things that you have going on. So I really, really like the schedule. If you have other hobbies, if you're in school, things like that, you have a lot of free time to get things done.
I guess something that surprised me is exactly how much we're all like a family, just like brothers and sisters, really close, both in the station and sometimes also off duty out of the station. We live together for 24 hours at a clip. So it was really, it's nice to have like your second family.
One thing I just want to add to George's response, we do a lot of EMS calls. Therefore, we require, at a minimum, EMR certification as a condition of your employment. You need to keep your medical certification or you risk being terminated. And we try to have everybody trained to the EMT level. But don't worry about if you don't have EMT, because we will send you for training if you don't have it. But it is required for a conditional, required for the, to be continued out as working as a firefighter.
The one question on the oral, how do you prepare for that? You can look up questions online, common firefighters entry questions, and talk to people. You got to talk. That's one of the biggest things I see with new people, young people. I shouldn't say new people, but the younger generation. Unfortunately, we got these great devices that we use all the time, but you don't talk to us. You text us, you message us. So you need to get out and communicate with people and, have a conversation, because that's going to be the oral. Whether you're talking to a computer or you're talking to the commission, you need to talk and you need to elaborate on stuff. So there's common questions that you can just go on an internet search engine and common entry level firefighter questions, and you'll get a bunch of them. Start preparing answers for them. And think about them. You really want to put some thought into them. Just from experience, they, might have a time limit on each question. They might give you 2 to 3 minutes per question. That's not uncommon. So some of them, the questions like, well, how do I get 2 minutes out of this? Well, that's where practice comes in. So, you don't want to answer it for 15 minutes or 15 seconds and sit there and look at the computer. So add to that, just elaborate on some of the things that that relate to that question. But definitely get on the internet and Google some of the questions that are been out there. Question on benefits. We can't answer down the road if our pension would get switched to a 401k. I highly I'm not going to bet my pension on this, but the city's very good. They understand the job of a firefighter. There's been no talk about us going to a 401k in the fire service. So, our pension, it's a little bit reduced for our new firefighters coming in, but I don't see the city doing that, and our council members, again, based on the support that we get. Do we have med control through the hospital? Yeah, as first responder, we do. So somebody asked about med control. So we really don't need, we're supplemental first responders with EMS, with PD. So that's, I guess they would, all hospitals are med control, yes. Most common injury for firefighters is strains and sprains. So twisted ankles, back injuries, comes from, unfortunately, not moving the right way, and probably lack of physical fitness that we get some of those injuries. I'm not going to say you'll never get hurt, but the more you prepare yourself and work out and take your time and let your training work for you and do what you're supposed to do, as far as pulling hose, throwing ladders, when you do things the right way, there's less chance of an injury. And I would toss back to my firefighters. Do you agree with that? Doing things the proper way, you're going to really not get those injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we do so much training. We try to get that muscle memory of doing things the right way. And, but if you don't, it's a perishable skill. You can, if you don't do it constantly, then you may get injured. He's right about that.
I just lost my train of thought. One of those questions on that, on the injury and the physical fitness, it'll come back to me. I wanted to add on somebody else's, one of the biggest things facing firefighters, and we're really doing a good job of fighting against it, is cancer in the fire service. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we're probably fighting right now. We're doing a lot of good things for it. But cleaning our gear, products to clean our skin after a fire. So if you do any research on a career in the fire service, you're going to see that cancer number come up there. So we do have an elevated chance of getting some type of a cancer from firefighting. But the department and the whole firefighting community is really doing a good job, because we recognized it now, and we're doing a good job to protect everybody against it. I think we hit everything on the current questions, even though they're not answered.
There's a question on the retirement plan aside from the pension. The city does offer a 457 program where you could defer some of your money into an outside 457 for savings.
Yeah, there's a few good programs, with that. That's another good thing that the fire service has really done, is set the new firefighters up for success financially, because a lot of places did go to 401k. So, and our, the IFF, which is the union that really provides a lot of information on that. So, if you go to the Academy of Compensation for no compensation for leaving your job. There was a lot of questions on pay at the academy. That's that 0 step. So we'll offer you a job. We give you a conditional offer. We tell you your start date. So what you do at your previous employer, you could work up until the day before you start Norwalk. That's up to you. We're not paying them for anything for taking you. And then you start getting paid. The paychecks are weekly. You're technically a week behind. So you'll work your first week and not get a paycheck, but then on your 14th day of working, you will get a paycheck for that first week. So, and that's that 0 step that we mentioned. That's outlined in the contract. The new firefighter starting around $65,000 annually. So divide that by 52 weeks. That's basically your weekly pay before taxes.
So we have answered about 189 questions. It's almost 8:15 now. Do you want to take maybe 5 more and then we'll do a quick wrap up?
Sure.
I don't know what I might not have been clear, but you definitely are getting paid while you're at the academy. The way our paycheck works, the first week you do not get a paycheck. You have to once you work the first week, then payroll says, okay, you worked a week. Now I pay you on the following Thursday for that week. So our paycheck's always a week behind. So I like to look at the positives. When you retire, you get 1 extra paycheck after you leave. So that you'll never lose that money. It's just our payroll system's a week behind. So that first week you won't have a paycheck. That's all. Then you're golden. Yeah. Any new questions or something that we did not answer? Put them in there. Again, the test prep. I'll turn it over to Chief McCabe, but the testing company may provide something after applications close, but there's a vast amount of information online For firefighter entry test, there's different textbooks out there. There's just Google websites that that you can look stuff up to see what they're going to ask. I highly recommend that. I've always encouraged people just to read, get used to reading, especially those of us that have been out of school a while. Just get comfortable with that. But we'll have more answers for you on that. Great. The grade question, that's going to be a testing company question. That's going to depend on basically how many people take the test and how many people that the testing company wants to take to the oral. So unless Chief McCabe wants to jump on there, they're going to take a look at that and say what the what that grade ends up being. Last time, half of the testing group went to the oral. That's what on the 2015 test.
Yeah, that's it'll all be determined once applications close. You will get some information from the testing company on May 11th. It'll be emailed directly to you, and they'll answer a lot of those questions that are specific to the test itself. They will also, they've told us, give out a small packet which will give you an idea of what type of questions you'll be answering on the written test. But I agree with Chief Bassett. In the meantime, Google firefighter entry test, anything that's out there will help you on this particular test that's going to be given. This is not going to be all that different from a normal firefighter written entry test.
Couple health insurance. Yes, there is I'm not sure if it's 60. Sometimes depends on when we start you. It might only be a 30-day waiting period. That's an HR question when it comes time to hire and when the academy starts. So I think with the group that with Kat and Jordan went on, we had you insurance by October, I think, right? And we started in, so they had about a 30-day waiting period. But yeah, there'll be a short waiting period there. Yes, a medical exam can disqualify you. We follow the NFPA 1582 physical requirements for new hires. So they will go through that. The company, the medical place we send you to will follow 1582 physical, and you could be disqualified based on medical. And there's various reasons in that. That's a question that we can't answer here. That's going to be up to the doctor whether they disqualify. Station tours right now, unfortunately, no. Feel free to reach out to us individually if you you wanted to stop by or ask any further questions. Unfortunately, with COVID protocol, we're limiting anybody really in the firehouses right now, just to protect our members that have to go out into the public. So, but you can email us if somebody's really looking for specific questions or to see something. Send us an email, and we can do something for you or set something up. That was right now the piercings. I'll defer back to our grooming policy. I don't know it off the top of my head, but you got to limit your piercings. I don't know what it says, Chief, about specific piercings, but you do not want to have them. And I'll turf it to Kat maybe that I'm not a fan of piercings during his job. It gets caught on things. Are they forbidden? No, some of them you might be able to get away with, but not a good idea.
Right. I don't know the top of my head either, but you certainly don't want anything hanging down.
Yeah, it's
for
not
years.
good. A lot of us take our jewelry off, wedding rings, high school rings. We don't want any of that on us just in case it does catch on something. It's, and plus you'll break it and potentially lose it. So we try not to have a lot of that.
So how about we wrap up with this last question? Question for the new firefighter. If you could give one piece of advice, what would it be?
For a new firefighter,
Yeah.
just mouth closed and ears open. Try to learn I had no experience. coming here. I came from the military, had no firefighting experience. And, you know, I know how to keep my mouth shut. I learned the hard way in the military. But I was just soaking up everything. You know, I wanted to be the best guy. You know, I wanted to learn the most that I can. I wanted to be the dependable guy. So, you know, it's just literally, you're listening, you're watching, you know, you're practicing, you know, don't be afraid to fail. You know, that's what I would say coming in new. You want to learn as much as you can, because the quicker you're dependent on and you show the firefighters that you're going to be with that you can be, you know, you have their back and you can be trusted and you know what you're doing. And you know, that's what it's all about, being able to watch each other's back, do your job well, and serve the citizens. You know, this is a customer service job. People are calling for help and you have to be there. You're their lifeline. So you have to learn all you can. You got to be prepared.
Great.
Right. I would just add to that, you know, just be enthusiastic, there to learn, be the first to jump up and volunteer for everything, you know, extra details, stuff like that. Just be a team player.
Great. Jordan?
Yeah, absolutely. Just be a team player, just be humble, come in, head down, just listen definitely for your first few years. You should definitely be listening more than you should be speaking. Just know that you got the best job in the world. This is the best job in the world, without a doubt. It's a great job. It's enjoyable. But you just got to be humble and just listen for the first few years. It's a lot to learn.
But they all said what they're taught, but definitely ask questions if you don't know. We're not, you know, these guys all were new coming in the business and they didn't know, you know, how to put gloves on and coach the right way. Ask the questions. We're not telling you to be quiet, but we want you to ask questions to learn. So yes, absolutely. Just one other big question that came up: tobacco policy. We do not have we have a non-smoking policy in the building. We do not have an off-duty tobacco policy. However, the state and your cancer bill, we have the cancer bill at the state level. You lose all your benefits if you are a tobacco user, you know, for if you end up getting a fire service cancer. So that's, you know, kind of how we support the smoking any tobacco is, you know, that you're going to lose that if you do end up getting a fire service cancer. Chief, all you, Chief.
All right. Well, I'm hoping that we were able to reach those of you out there that were undecided, because we don't want to scare you from applying for this job. Don't be afraid of the fire academy. Don't be afraid of the CPAT. Yes, it's demanding. Yes, it's physical, but as you can see from the panelists, they got through it and you can get through it too. So it's a great job. It's a rewarding job. It's a fun job. And then sometimes it's not. So just, you know, go online, learn as much as you could about it and make a good informed decision. And I just thank everybody for attending. We had almost 200 people tonight on the call. Thank you for the panelists. Thanks, Michelle, for all the PowerPoint and everything. Thank you, Larry, for running it. And anybody else wants to say anything, but, you know, any questions, make sure you email Chief McCabe, and good luck.
Did our information pop up, or is it just got to go to our city website?
The email information, once you fill out your application at firefighterapp.com, there's a direct link to email us with any questions. I think there's even a phone number that you can call. We're answering questions every day from applicants. We're happy to do that. So my advice is get your application in, and then all that contact info will be provided for you.
Also, one thing, if you missed part of the presentation or would like to see it again, you could go on norwalkct.org/YouTube or norwalkct.org/recordings. And the YouTube will be up right after this right after we close out. The recordings will probably be up in a day or two.
Great. And I think that contact info is also on the city website. So norwalkct.org should have our contact info if you have additional questions.
All right, great job, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to all. I'm typing your welcomes to everybody. So as many as I could get in. So thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Have a good day.